Past the bright and colorful trees of Rainbow Forest lies a forbidden laboratory at its center. Flying types such as Pterodactyl and Braviary patrol the skies, while the surface is patrolled by various types like Samurott, Septile, Gallade, and Blaziken. Every day, they arrive here to scope out potential intruders lighting a way to prevent access to a secret weapon hidden below the lab. Inside, the halls had a clear blue color, while the doors were white, haunted by the windowless black ceiling. Two passing Pokemon are patrolling it, a Riolu and Zangoose. They turn to face each other. "You think it's a good idea to have a walking weapon cooped up in here?" Riolu said, raising an eyebrow. The Zangoose faces Riolu for a moment and scratches his head. "Worried to cause mayhem? 'Cause it ain't gonna happen," Zangoose said. Riolu's mind races of worry from the lax security around the lab. There weren't many guards apart from a couple at the entrance and the halls, with only a small amount of cameras rotating the corners. "You sure about that? The security here isn't exactly top-notch considering what it did to the kingdom during the Solar War," Riolu said with concern in his voice. Zangoose felt annoyed with Riolu's statement. He had heard his worries for weeks on end, his answers unchanging. "Would it kill you to stop worrying for once? That thing overloaded its power source when King Superior and Queen Imagining found it. There's no way it'll be active now," Zangoose said, staring at Riolu. "Besides, the genius itself is just a shell now. We're keeping it here for study. Isn't that better for the kingdom?" Riolu looked away in shame. He hadn't been worrying for nothing. "When you put it that way, I guess it does. Forget I said anything," Riolu said. Zangoose felt a little relieved. For once, he got through to Riolu. However, he knew his companion may bring it up again, so he walked closer to him. "If we talk about this one more time, I'll report you to our CEO, got that?" Zangoose said. Riolu flinched at this, realizing how much trouble he'd be in. He didn't want to face yet another reprimand for his commanding officer over his words. "Yeah, I won't bring it up again," he said. And with that, they continued on with their patrol. Deeper in the lab, the Genesec's broken shell of cracks and burns lay on the meta table of a few scientists studying it, specifically a Galatian and an Alakazam who wore white lab coats with crystal clear glasses resting on their eyes, looking at the creature with stern faces. How curious. "How did it gain sentience?" Galatian said, rubbing her chin. According, the Alakazam flipped through his notes for a moment and turned toward his partner. "According to reports, it was after being ordered to destroy resistance members hiding under the guise of royal guards. However, this machine was created as a weapon, so it shouldn't feel any emotions. We deemed it as a liability," Alakazam said. Glacian looked at her curiously, wondering what her mentor knew about the machine's history. "You were there during the war, correct?" Alakazam gave her a grim look. "Unfortunately, yes," he said. "What can you tell me about its creation?" Alakazam shook his head and turned away. "I'd rather not talk about it. It's something that haunts me to this day." "Oh, really?" Glacian said, raising an eyebrow. "Surely it wasn't that tragic." Alakazam's head started shaking as she started thinking back to a day as a younger Kadabra, staring in horror at what he'd done to innocent Pokemon to create the machine in question. "If I were to ever tell you, I'd be forced to relive those dreadful memories," he said, shaking his head in fear. Then he turned back to Glacian, who put upon her glasses. "Man, I don't see the point of hiding vital research from the Horde, even if it brought harm long ago. Surely a scientist like yourself would understand that having morals is a hindrance to progress," he chastised. At this, Alakazam started clenching his hands and looked at his partner furiously. You call what I did progress? All I did was create a weapon of mass destruction and unleashed it upon thousands of innocent lives. There's no progress in that. Glacian was taken aback by his burst of anger and took a step back. I see. In that case, I apologize for bringing it up, Glacian said, bowing her head. Alakazam took a deep breath and let out an ashamed sigh. It's quite alright. I should have known it was going to be brought up one way or another, Glacian said. No way. That's wrong. As they talked, the broken shells, cracks, and burns began fixing themselves slowly. Glacian notices it over her shoulder. What the shell, he said, alarmed. Alakazam turned around and a look of fear washed over him. How could this be? Is this the start of some disaster or premonition for hope? As these questions loomed over him, he quickly grabbed his notes and started writing down these new developments on the project. King Superior and Queen Millennium are gonna like this, Alakazam said, grabbing the edge of his lab coat. Glacian nodded in agreement. You're telling me, isn't there a grand speech tomorrow? She asked. Alakazam froze, realizing the repercussions of an escape. He had to do something fast. However, the injuries began healing faster and faster. Time was running out. He turned to face Glacian. I need you to listen to me very carefully. She looked at him with a worried expression. Okay, what is it? Alakazam went up to her slowly. I need you to get as far away from this lab as possible and warn the kingdom, he said. Glacian glanced at the nearby heliotical Genesect and then at her partner. What about you? You know what is capable of, so why not me? She asked. Alakazam looked back for a moment and resumed looking at Glacian. I needed to slow down. It's the only way for me to atone for my sins, he said, determined to right his wrongs. Glacian stared at him, shocked of his willingness to sacrifice himself. He found himself at a loss for words. But then, the Genesect rose up from the mechanical grave, feeling nostalgic. This place is also familiar, Genesect said. It looks around the room and notices its creator. In his mind, this is one of the mods who made us suffer. It was responsible for the suffering of countless mods, from the forced testing leading to the numerous suffering of innocent mods who were thrown away for the sake of a mere victory, to the numerous insults from a cadaverous, now a pitiful, remorseful old mod. And I've been waiting 40 long years for revenge. Well, it's been a long time, Cadavra. My, how you've grown! I almost didn't recognize you in this new form. Alakazam turned to face his monstrous creation. Things changed in a sect. I'm surprised you were able to repair yourself so quickly. Genesect then laughed. Oh, please, did you really think I'd forget my grudges? I've just been busy playing dead for you to finally show up. Genesect said, filling the room with maniacal laughter. He takes a glance at Glacian, quivering in fear. And who that? Your date? I don't think scumbags would have girlfriends, Genesect said. Alakazam grabbed his spoons out of his coat pocket. He may have known Glacian for a few months, but he saw himself in her. She was a reminder of his unforgivable past, naive and apathetic towards the ethics of what it means to be a scientist. He offered to be the one to show her the ropes about his mistakes never repeated. She was his atonement. Don't you dare lay a claw on her! My student has nothing to do with this, he shouted. Genesect stared at her. On the contrary, she seems special to you. So much that you'd be willing to work and risk your worthless life over, Genesect said, with a grin forming on his face. It would be a shame if I did this. Genesect launches a beam of great light at the Glacian from his cannon. No! Alakazam yelled. As Glacian braces for impact, a pink wall formed in front of her, causing the blast to reflect and explode a nearby computer. Genesect looks on wistfully. Impressive! That light screen of yours is pretty strong, but it won't save you from karma! Genesect sneers. Alakazam turns towards Glacian. Go! As Glacian turns towards the exit, Alakazam looks on with relief and faces the enemy in front of him. Ready to face the consequences, old one. After all, the blood on your hands will never be cleansed. Even if you die for her, you won't see yourself in heaven. That's fine by me. Wasn't going up there anyway, Alakazam said, coating his spoons in psychic energy. Somewhere in the lab, Glacian pushed the alarm button and kept it running. As the alarms echo throughout the hall, she comes across Riolu and Zangoose, who looked at her with caution. What's the situation, Professor? Zangoose said. The Genesect is currently fighting head researcher at Alakazam. We need backup, said Glacian. Riolu gets Zangoose and I told you so look and turned towards Glacian. We'll be on our way. I'm sure the others will be down there soon. In the meantime, get to safety. As they ran, Glacian couldn't help but worry about her mentor's safety. Sure, they only spent a meager 4 months together, but it had to have meant something. Back at Genesect's confinement, he slowly walks out of the room with a wicked smile. Ah, isn't revenge so sweet? It's amazing how that old coot thought he was worth something just because of one good deed. Genesect said. So, I wonder how the good king and queen are doing knowing how many lives they ruined. Let's find out, shall we? I don't intend on staying around in this dump. Halt! Genesect turns towards the source of the voice belonging to Proloque of Solar. Mind bothering something else? I kind of have enough facility to escape from, Genesect said, face palming. Zangoose and Riolu go into their battle stances. We will not let you escape, Mr. Tin Can. Yeah! Genesect scoffed at the two. Oh wow, what a clever name. Gold star for you! Zangoose threw himself at the machine with glowing claws, only to be thrown in the air by a purple-white colored blast, causing him to crash into a wall. Zangoose! He glared at Genesect and without thinking, charged at it with a flashbang. Trying to avenge a friend? Too bad. He catches Riolu's mock punch and chucks him at the wall. Riolu's body had many injuries of cuts and bruises all over. The same goes for Zangoose. Riolu claws towards his friend while coughing. Please tell me you're still alive. He then checks Zangoose breathing as a relieved to feel air slowly coming through his nose. A rush of adrenaline fuels Riolu to get him and his fellow guard to safety. No matter who was in their way. I gotta get you out of here. Forget the robot. We're leaving. Fortunately, the machine had spotted him before he could do anything. Going somewhere? Genesect said, leaning with his back up against the wall. Riolu's face held a look of terror. He couldn't move. What was he supposed to do? He couldn't fight or flee. And for the first time in his life, fear held him in a chokehold. Peace was all he could muster. Genesect leers at them, pondering what to do with his victims after he finished gloating. It feels no empathy towards the real god after everything they've done. If anything, this is what they deserved. How does it feel to be forced to watch others suffer? Not too good, I imagine. Proloque just stared at Genesect with an empty look. He didn't know what to feel at this point. In all his years of living on the grass continent, he had loved it here. The laughter from family gatherings that consisted of shikor, shroomish grovel, and turtwave echo in his mind, alongside his memories of Zangus. He wanted to protect his kingdom that he loved by joining the royal guard. He never wanted to harm anyone unless it was absolutely necessary. You think I enjoy hurting others? I was just doing my job to support my family and protect the kingdom like anything else. Whatever slight I've done to you pales in comparison. Genesect clenched his teeth and slowly walked towards the grass, fighting type of a scowl. And I heard an excuses. You think I care about everything your beloved kingdom has done to me? Give me a break! You'd say anything to be able to sleep at night. The royal guard are all the same, looking for something to shift the blame on. Never yourselves. As it finishes its sentence, it grabs the Rielu by the neck. So why should I spare you? Go on, give me a reason. Rielu was struggling to think of one as he was suffocating. Then an idea. If he could convince his would-be killer he wasn't a threat, maybe him and his friend would be spared. Well, were no longer threats. Genesect thought for a moment. The fallen guard had a threat. Why waste time dealing with heavily injured Pokemon? It would be far better to escape towards the capital for its revenge. Eventually he accepted his motion. Fine, but I won't be feeling merciful next time. Rielu then picked up Zangoose and left the lab to never be seen again. As Genesect attempts to leave the lab, several guards stood in his way, and just like Zangoose and Rielu defeated them effortlessly. The halls were decorated with bodies laying on the floor, all caught on camera for everyone to see. However, Genesect doesn't want to be seen just yet, and heads to the security room to destroy the evidence. Once that's completed, it walks out of the lab feeling pleased with itself. When it finally reached the surface, greeted by a bright full moon shining in the starry night sky, complemented by neon colors emitting from the trees and rainbow forest. It's been a long time since I last saw a sight like this. I almost miss it. Genesect said, reminiscing on the past. The machine remembers the first time he was deployed. It was on a beautiful night, just like this. The mission determined they suspected rebel spies during the Solar War. However, it refused to recall the details of the event. Only in the aftermath of a young Zoro haunting its memories forevermore. All one knows is that they'll never forgive the king and queen for forcing it to take lives and watch a child suffer. As the sun rose through the acorn-shaped green neon buildings, an Ashawat overlooked the town on a castle balcony with a smile on its face, preparing to face the challenge awaiting him today. New day, new memories! He performed a little salsa dance to celebrate the new day. He had been doing this ever since he was taken in by King Superior and Queen Magenia. It's one of his ways of showing his dedication. Afterwards, he pulled out a piece of paper out of his bag and began reading it. He didn't promise to wake up the princess for a speech rehearsal to give the citizens of the grass continent hope. However, she realized that she wouldn't be going willingly. She'd never want to be involved with a lower class. Yeah, those pricks. Oh jeez, the princess isn't gonna like this. It's gonna be a long day. He opened up the large brown door and headed inside the castle. The halls were green with a blue ceiling looming over the wooden windows fitted with electronic locks to prevent intrusions, and the carpets are filled with crimson. Hopefully not blood. He reached the stairs and saw the long climb to a room, determination filling his mind to reach the room before he passes out from exhaustion. Eventually, he reaches the door to a room. Feeling tired, oh, the walking he did. He took a deep breath and gave a firm knock on the door, hoping he'll wake her up this time. Hello? Anyone home? It's me, Pharaoh. Pharaoh announced. No reply, of course. He expected this. The princess isn't the type to bother with keeping up with responsibilities. She leaves those to the servants with her butler. Pharaoh being the one to lead them in the front despite how tired he'd feel afterwards. Pharaoh's brain was lost in thought. He didn't want to invade her privacy, but the day was different. If she continues to sleep the day away, all the kind gestures the king and queen offered to the citizens would be for nothing. Pharaoh had no choice but to enter her room without knowledge and opens the door. After the infected, he finds the snivy princess snapping on her green bed, wearing her crown with the lights off. Pharaoh walks over to the light switch and flips it on. 5 more minutes. She groaned and then went back to sleep. Pharaoh sighed and walked over to her. She gently shook her away, causing the snivy to give it an annoyed look. Sorry, Your Highness, but we've got to get down there to rehearse your speech, Pharaoh said. A bit of guilt ate away at the young Oshawott. He didn't want to do this, but it was a necessary annoyance to help as many Mons as possible. I apologize for my transgression, but I promised your mother and father to prepare you for this day, Pharaoh said. The princess then gave icy looks towards her butler. She did not want to be involved in one of her parents' gestures, especially not after Pharaoh went into her room without permission. Pharaoh quickly changed his tune to sound more reassuring. You're doing wonderful, I promise. You've got this, Your Majesty. The snivy turned away. I don't care. Can't the princess not trouble herself with peasant matters? Yeah, true, fuck those peasants. Pharaoh winces at her attitude. He hated hearing her talk down the citizens for knew how it felt to be stuck with nothing in the streets. It may look pristine now, but a lot can happen in 10 years. The cities were dirty, filled with crime, strife, and hopelessness. He was a victim of it himself. They're your citizens, not peasants, Pharaoh exclaimed. The princess simply shook her head and climbed out of bed. Debates like these were common among the pair, and she has since learned to ignore them whenever possible. Whatever, let's just get this over with. Pharaoh grabs her hand and proceeded to head out with her in tow. He looked at the door for a moment before turning back to the snivy. Alpazo, why must you be so difficult sometimes? Alpazo looked at her friend for a moment and shrugged. Say it's you, mother and father, for trying to be nice. Trying to make me be nice to complete strangers, she remarked. Pharaoh wonders if it'll ever be possible to mold his childhood friend into a better man. Yeah, wonderful memories did here and didn't want to throw them away. You remember the little playdates and tea parties they've had in the castle's garden. Everything was going great until she started talking to the other members of the royal family. They continued living in the old ways of the ancestors from the days before the Solar War. The king and queen have tried reforming them for years with little success. He may dislike her bratty behavior, but he cares for her all the same.